It is an unbelievable, huge honor for me today to be sitting here with Eric Jones, who's very depressed right now because he realized that he's exactly 20 years younger than me. His baby is 1 year old. My baby is 21 years old. So I'm exactly 20 years older, and he's sitting here thinking, oh my God, in 20 years, am I going to look like shit too? Is all my hair going to fall out?
I went to hair immediately. I was like, oh no, not these.
You are an amazing story. So you got out of school in 2009,
right.
And you went to work with your a family, your uncle, and you took about a gazillion hours. You took about what, 1,000 hours of continuing education, and then you opened up your own office and outside of Atlanta, Georgia.
We did,
and you're crushing it. And your job today is in 1 hour. I want you to sum up everything you learned in 1,000 hours of CE. No, but talk about your journey. You have a very interesting story.
So,
and by the way, you were just lecturing over there, and I was listening to your lecture with Tom Giacobbe and Howard Goldstein in the back, and you're an amazing lecturer. You're lecturing with some of the biggest rock stars in dentistry. You're with
John Nosti, Leanne
Brady.
Jason Olitsky, Mike Smith.
Yeah.
And no, those guys are awesome. And
how did you get in that club? I mean, that's an elite club.
Those guys are awesome. And like
I asked them if I could lecture with them, and they just kept laughing. They still haven't stopped laughing.
Initially I got to know those guys through going to their courses. And, and using lab like Gold Dust is awesome. And so they do most of my work, and then I kind of...
Which is that lab's in Tempe, Arizona?
Yes, Tempe.
Is it Tempe, which is like 10 minutes from my office?
Yeah, I was just there. When the national championship game in Phoenix, my wife and I did.
Which national?
College football.
Oh wow, you came down to that.
We did.
Wow. Well, next time you come down, you got to come
by today's dental.
Yeah, come by today's dental and or Dental Town.
I know. I need to.
Unless you have alcohol, then you come by the house.
Okay, I'll do that.
If you have beer. So tell them about your journey.
So, you know what? I was that guy like in dental school that I realized really quickly I could make I could bust my ass and make an A-, or I could just like mail it in and get like B-. So, my goal was to graduate and be a dentist because I had it figured out. I was going to work with a family member and...
Your uncle?
Yeah.
Now, who's that? Your dad's brother?
My dad's brother is in...
Your dad's brother?
He has practice in Jacksonville, North Carolina.
And I'd say about what percent of your class had a dentist in the family tree?
Oh, probably like a third.
Yeah, I see that everywhere.
So the reason I wanted to do it, too, is I grew up middle class, upper middle class, but the most successful person I knew was my uncle who was a dentist. So it's like, all right, I'm gonna do.
So it doesn't matter if you're in India, Brazil, China. A third of them have a dentist in the family. So you just kind of skated through dental school. Yeah. You had a safe gig. You're gonna go work with your rich uncle. All good.
And so that was my plan. And then we moved up there, and it was going well. Like I had an amazing opportunity there to start taking just serious courses right away. Because even though I was an associate, he was helping me cover education costs that there's no way I could have done if I had to pay out of pocket. So I had a chance to go through like Dawson, do an IV sedation course, just kind of keep going and things going. So I was flying out maybe like once a month, like doing a course or something like that, and kept doing that. And then we had our daughter, Eloise, is now 6.
What's her name?
Eloise.
Eloise.
So, and then that changes like everything. So then we started, realizing that, it was just like we were driving back all the time, and I was kind of like realizing that.
Driving back to what?
To home, to outside Atlanta. So for every holiday, weekend, whatever, we'd pack up the car, like drive in.
Oh, so your uncle didn't live where?
No, my whole family was originally from North Carolina, but most of them have migrated and moved. And then my wife's family, I was born outside Atlanta. My wife's family is from there still. So every time they have a lake house up there. So every time in the summer we were driving back, and it just kind of felt like I was always like living in one place, and then kind of, the home felt like somewhere else a little bit. And you feel like you need to earn it, you know what I mean? Or for me, I did. It was hard for me to just go into a situation. And I kind of felt like I needed to have my own destiny or brand or whatever. So
your own identity other than your uncle's.
Right. So it's like at the time we bought a house in 2009, which is an awesome time to buy a house.
Did you buy it before Lehman's Day? Lehman's filed what, September 15, 2000?
We bought
9.
Right around right before that.
Wow.
And so we basically.
Where'd you buy the house?
It was in North Carolina.
Okay.
So it was on the coast. So we basically, small town. We sold our house. Cleared out pretty much all but $2,000 in my name. Loaded everything up in a 10-year-old Tahoe and moved back in my wife's parents' basement. And that's like a humbling experience. Like there's no pride after you do that, and start open the practice from scratch, like outside Atlanta there.
And you had one kid at that time?
We had one.
You just had Elisa?
Eloise was
and now
was a year old, and then my wife was pregnant with our second. So, not the best timing, but sometimes life happens and you don't pick it. But yeah, so we opened up October 2011, a brand new startup, no patients.
October 2011.
Yep, pregnant wife, 1-year-old, parents, in-laws basement. That's kind of my story.
That's just rock bottom.
It is. It's not like scotch in the morning in your coffee cup on the way to work. It's like one step above that.
When you're living in your mother-in-law's basement, starting a scratch practice with no patients, one baby walking and one in the oven, that's it got your attention. I bet you didn't have a lazy bone in your body.
No, and that initially was just like reading everything, doing any, even still scrapping together like money to a course but mainly just honestly living on Dental Town at the time, by any kind of consulting advice I could get with anything, trying to get up to speed and running.
So out of all the ways to have a practice, you could have got a job at corporate dentistry. Yeah. You could have started a denture clinic. You could have started a boutique cosmetic dental practice in downtown Atlanta. Yeah. Out of all those things, what business model did you pick and why?
So, and I kind of felt like I wanted to do what I wanted to do, but I wanted to be smart about it. You know what I mean? I think if you're set on anything and you're talented and you work hard, you can probably make it work. But, you're probably not going to go to, southern rural Georgia and start a cosmetic-only practice, with marble columns and floors. It may work, but you're going to have skinny kids for a while. So we picked where we went carefully. We did all the background research, just is talked about with finding dentist population ratios, growing areas. But I still wanted to do it, focus on what I wanted to do. And that was not necessarily all cosmetics, but we do a lot of IV sedation, so we a lot of patients. It's just a mess. It's been 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and they finally either have a financial change to come in, or something prods them, or something happens, and then take them from where they are to, they may not be a 10, but they're an 8 now, when previously it was just like a debilitating embarrassment of messed up teeth, or confidence, or pain.
So what is your, so you're not taking PPOs?
We're not in network. We'll take assignment. And so I want to
take assignment.
Yeah, I want to make it as easy as possible.
But explain that. A lot of these kids don't know what assignment
what
means.
I mean is, I want to make it as easy as possible. So a cleaning in our office typically would be covered almost 100% by everybody's insurance. Most of the part, if their insurance allows them to pick their dentist. So if they have a PPO plan that has out-of-network benefits, they can see us, and they're probably not going to pay much of anything the first visit. But then I decided I kind of wanted to set my own fees. So our fees weren't particularly high; they were 50th percentile.
You said something very profound to me, and that was which I think is just crazy. I mean, so most offices that take PPOs, it's 80% of their practice.
Right.
So their fees, they'll tell everybody, if someone calls up their office, how much you charge for a crown? $1,300. Yet 80% of their patients have a PPO price of $800.
Right.
It's 4 out of 5 times you do a crown, it's $800. But then when the cash patient calls up, it's a $500 penalty, and you say $1,300. So you just kind of went middle of the road.
Yeah,
you said, "I'm not going to take your PPO."
I remember.
So you went with just a $1,000 crown.
So it was $975 for a crown.
So you kept it under $1,000. Yeah. $975.
And it's funny too, because when you're living with your parents or your in-laws, your overhead's zero. Your self-esteem may be here, but your overhead is zero.
But did you learn to love your mother-in-law? Because your wife is going to turn into that person. It's just a matter of time. I don't care what anybody tells you. It might take 10 years, it might take 20, but one day that mother-in-law is going to be your wife.
Probably every weekend for cookout or have dinner or something like that, and I give them a hard time about overcooking the heck out of my food or whatever. But we grew close. Being in tight quarters for a year.
So you picked a middle of the road fee.
Yeah,
so you're basically almost giving the PPO price without the patient having a PPO.
More or less initially.
Because you're doing $975. What would the PPO? Yeah. What's the average PPO in Atlanta?
So that's the thing. I don't know. Some a good negotiable one might be 8 something.
Yeah.
But then you have ones $650. So it's still hard, but I was that's just nonsense. I didn't want to have, play all the games, so I decided we'd just have, set it, and it be that. And then a lot of people we see, even in the beginning, want to be sedated or whatever, how they actually find us through that. So it was just easy for me to do easy math. I'm not good at math. So to say, 10 teeth, $1,000 each is $10,000, or 2 teeth, 2 crowns, $2,000. Insurance will pay, maybe 50% of a certain fee, whatever. But it was just easier, and I never had to worry about, having to downgrades and all that stuff didn't really affect us too much, or some of the nonsense that they pull. In hindsight, it's tougher, because
so you do a lot of IV sedation?
We do probably one a day or every other day.
Okay, I'm just gonna. This is Dentistry Uncensored with Howard Farran. So, crass, rude, and crude. That just scares the shit out of me.
Yeah,
it just scares. I mean,
I know, and
I'd rather the worst thing that happened today is that crown margin. We had to re-impress that crown than Grandma didn't wake up.
And you're bagging them, right?
Yeah, I mean, isn't that some scary stuff?
So we have an oral surgeon we work with, and he said, you know what? People sedate people to their personality. So like I want to work on. It's kind of like working on like drunks all day. And they're happy. They're like, oh, whatever, and they're like snoozing or they're awake, but like they're just kind of like, all right. And that's how like we see most of our patients. So I mean, they're not out. They're not unconscious.
It's a conscious sedation.
They're conscious. It's IV, but they feel good and they don't remember it. There are some that are truly like terrified, and those are hard. Those are ones that probably almost do need GA or something, or a lot of
Okay, let me ask you this. What is really standard of care? Because I know England went through this. The United Kingdom just sat there and said only an anesthesiologist can do it.
Yeah.
Correct?
Right. I think so.
So what do you say to people who say, well, dude, in all the hospitals in Atlanta, only an anesthesiologist can do the anesthesia. They won't let the cardiovascular surgeon do the IV and do the surgery. They break that up. Why do you think that you can do this without an anesthesiology? From a business point of view, I mean, wouldn't it only cost you like a couple $100 to have an anesthesiologist come in and do the anesthesia?
Yeah, so here's the thing. That's an awesome question. I know I didn't even think about talking about this today. But here's the thing about that is, I have a friend that does pain management. And so he'll start an IV, and he'll use like Versed and fentanyl, which is what we do, what a periodontist would do, to give like a cervical spinal injection to help keep the patient comfortable. You get in the hospital and medicine is so tiered, but look at medical costs. For me to bring in like an anesthesiologist would be like $1,000 an hour, almost.
Oh, would it be that much?
Or at least, probably approaching that from different companies that do it or services that do it, to the point where like the sedation is more than the dentistry. So you're doubling the cost on anybody. And my goal is not to they're not out. It's just management. And
so you feel it's pretty safe?
Yeah, I do, because everybody, they're responsive. We're talking, and it's almost more like someone that's. I explain it like having quite a few drinks. Where you don't really feel pain. Time goes by really quick. You don't remember a lot of it, and it's a whole different experience than doing it, completely sober through.
And where did you learn the sedation?
So I did a course in New Jersey that was run by like Seton Hall, but now there's a ton of opportunities. I know my associate I sent to the MCG one, or whatever it is now.
Medical College of Georgia?
Yeah, Alabama has one. There's like Case Western. I think there's a ton of programs now that offer it. Because you look at the stress on a patient that's awake versus sedated, and it's
So Medical College of Georgia, and then you said Alabama has one?
Yeah, they have one too. It's 2 weeks.
Did they ever get a football team at that college?
I heard they have one.
They had one?
They're pretty good.
And so when you picked your area, you went to Flowery Branch, Georgia. How far away is that from Atlanta?
So we are, without traffic, we could probably get downtown like 45 minutes.
Did you pay attention to demographic when you were picking Flowery Branch? Why did you pick Flowery Branch? Is that because that's where your wife wanted to live, or did you thought it was a better
my wife
demographic?
Her family is still from like closer inside, and really I did what most new practices do. I bought demographic reports, and we looked at growing areas.
You did?
I did.
And who did you buy the demographic report?
Scott McDonald.
Scott McDonald. And what was the name of his company?
What? It was Scott McDonald and Associates, maybe.
Yeah. Ryan, what was the name of his company we were just talking about on the last deal?
New Patients
No, Scott. All he does, like, you get back a detailed report. So we just
DrDemographics.com.
Okay.
Isn't he DrDemographics.com? Yeah, he is.
Okay.
He is.
So that's
So
how
Scott McDonald, Dr. Demographics. And talk about how much did Scott charge you? How did that work? Did you say? Did you go to DrDemographics.com and say, Scott, just find me the best location in Georgia? Or?
Sort of. I told him where I thought we wanted to live, because we kind of drew a map around like a radius, and then that's exactly what we did. We basically said, you know what, we did like a best sites report. It was called. I don't even remember the cost. I remember at the time paying for it was like you know, like a big deal. But now in hindsight, it was a few $100 to you know, significantly elevate our odds of earlier success. You know, because it's not like I wouldn't say demographic. If you're patient enough and just, you know, going after it, I mean, you could probably live more or less where you want to live, but it's going to take a whole lot longer. You know, to let's say you're, you know, to go into a super saturated city and say, you know, I'm doing $1 million in a year or a year 2 or whatever. You know, that compared to picking a favorable spot is night and day.
So does Scott only do dentist, or does he do?
He does. I think it's like vets and all sorts of stuff now. Chiropractor or
yeah, okay.
optical.
Dental, vet, and vision.
Yep.
And you know what those all have in common? Those aren't covered by Medicaid and Medicare.
Right.
And you know what's amazing is if you take Medicaid or Medicare, and you know, if you're a physician, you can't even sell your practice.
Right.
Because anybody can open up a Medicaid,
Right,
Medicare practice and have 48 million patients booked out a month. So these are only the people that can have higher profit margins.
Right.
I mean, and dentists and vets and optometrists and chiropractors just have much higher margins than the poor bastard family physician. I mean, it really, we got lucky. So where's Scott McDonald out of?
I think they're California.
Is that in California? Okay.
So it's hard. It's weird because in one side I'm like, you know, I'm getting reports from someone who's like never set sight, you know, on foot, and then now even looking back at it, you know, I'm like, yeah, it's pretty spot on with you know, just saying where to stay away from, where to go, and you know, what our best likely location options would be.
So Scott helps you pick Flowery Branch, Georgia. So you're already wise because demographics. I'd say that every year 6,000 kids come out of school and one guy gets a demographic report. The other go into the medical dental building with 15 offices and say, "Well, I got a really good deal on my rent." I'm like, "Really? Do you know why you got a really good deal on your rent?
Yeah.
Because they couldn't rent it to anybody on
right.
earth
No one
except
knows
for
you're
you."
there. Your mom knows you're there.
Yeah, and so you open up your practice. You're going for margin. You didn't do the PPO thing.
Yeah, and so in this killed me, like we're in a retail space with high visibility, but it killed me to do it because you know, you feel like, oh, I'm you know, that's like kind of unprofessional maybe. You know, we're right by a massive Publix market, which is like right by, I know you're right by a grocery center as well. And like,
so that made you feel unprofessional.
I wouldn't say unprofessional, but you know what I mean. You feel like going in next to like an Italian restaurant, and then we have a hair salon next to us. You know, it's like
That's what I did.
yeah. And then you know,
And it worked.
You know, day one we had 40 new patients that month. Had we known what we're doing on the phone, or stuff, we could have had 60, or 80 with our.
How did you learn what to do on the phone?
Oh, that's a good question. I think
because you're in Atlanta. That's the home of the Scheduling Institute, which is the biggest leader in phone training skills.
We worked with them some. We did.
So you did work with Scheduling Institute.
Yeah, I've worked with them in the past.
Yeah, so did I. So have I.
Yeah, we did practice coaching with Kirk Barrett. I know he's a Kansas City guy. I think you had him on not long ago.
We've done a podcast with him.
Yeah, Kirk's awesome. So
yeah, great guy from Kansas City.
And honestly, even on Dental Town, like reading, everything like Sandy Purdue would post, or just things on looking at it from a conversion.
And the bottom line with that is it takes 8 years to be a dentist, 4 years to be a hygienist. My assistant Jan went to 1 year dental assisting school. So did so many of the most amazing dentists I know. And then you just hire a receptionist off the street and tell her to answer the phone while you're back there doing a root canal. And it's just like, really?
Yeah.
Really? And those offices, oh my God. I mean, and they don't even track their conversion rate. They don't know how many calls they came in today. Of those calls, how many of them were already in your computer system versus not in your system. And if those incoming calls not in your system, you can't tell me how many incoming calls have to come in before one guy shows up in your office. I mean, is that 5 to 1? And if you change that to 2 to 1, you triple your practice.
Right. And that's what, so we, like, I don't know, like even now, like even still, we have a service that like listens to every phone call and then tells us, so we know how many.
Okay, what service is that?
So I use a friend, Chris Phelps, that's Call Tracker ROI. And there are other services, but he's a brilliant guy, but
Who's this guy?
Chris Phelps.
Okay, Chris Phelps.
He has a couple practices in Charlotte, North Carolina. And he developed.
He's a dentist?
He is.
He's a dentist?
He's a dentist.
What the hell is his name? Oh, let me see if I, sorry, I wouldn't, his name is, the reception in this room is horrible. I'm sorry.
I know, you're fine. So, yeah, he developed.
His name is Chris what?
Phelps, Phelps. And then his service is Call Tracker ROI.
Phil.
Phelps. Like Michael Phelps.
ELPS. Like Michael Phelps?
Yeah.
So
I don't think they're related.
He smokes pot.
He doesn't look. He doesn't look like Michael. I don't know.
Chris Phelps of Call Tracker
ROI.
Tracker ROI, and he's out of where?
Charlotte.
Charlotte. God, Charlotte is just a happening place.
Yeah, it's a cool city.
So here is it DDS. I see DDS mentoring.
Yeah, he's involved with a lot of
Direct.
stuff. Yeah, he works for Implant. He's a key opinion leader for Implant Direct, and then he has his own company, Call Tracker ROI, which is the service we use.
I'm seeing Rad Marketing ROI. Oh, there it is. Call tracking metrics.
Yeah,
Infinity
probably.
Cloud. Is it call tracking metrics?
It's Call Tracker ROI. I think it's the website.
Oh, here it is. Call tracker. Chris Phelps. I see it. YouTube. Because I think the reason I'm slowing down, this is just so damn important.
So this is what it does. So they
This is
listen
so damn
to.
important.
We have established like phone numbers, obviously that we give out. We put on mailing pieces. We also have so they have coding on our website. So if someone comes from a Facebook ad or enters it directly or comes from a landing page, like it changes the phone number on their website forever. It's like the cookie's stored, and then they call that number, so we can literally tell where they're coming from, and then we know accurately instead of just asking them. But then they listen to every call, and then they basically record conversion percent, how many asked, how'd you hear about us, and then everyone that didn't schedule, we get like a summary of the reason why. So basically a short transcript of, caller asked about price for a crown, staff told the caller this, caller asked about this, staff told this, and then they classify why they didn't schedule. So it's kind of nice because if it is every single patient's calling, we had 50 new patients call, 30 didn't schedule, and then 25 of those are asking, are we in network with Cigna? We say no, we say no, we say no, they don't schedule. I'm going to have to look into that more seriously than if it's, one didn't schedule out of, 50. That's kind of a knee jerk compared to, having the actual data and then making a decision based on what we did.
So you've done so many things right. You got demographics. You understood the margins of not being a PPO practice. You got call tracking software, so you're measuring
Right.
your conversion rate. When every Yahoo dentist I know wants to go to sit in 4,000 adhesive dentistry seminars, learning the different bond strengths of 30 different bonding agents and the wear rates of 20 different composites, and their problem ain't that their fillings are wearing down and all their fillings are falling off.
Right.
So they're spending all their time solving problems that don't even exist. You're just really, really smart.
So we do that, and then so that was awesome. We also, one thing, and you said this, and I heard this after we started, but I have one person that only sees new patients, and she presents treatment, so she's a hygienist. But we kept running into the issue of everyone calling in saying, I want my teeth cleaned, is what they call about, and they may have 10 teeth that need root canals and crown, and an abscess in their face. And it's like, oh yeah, I need my teeth cleaned. And then you get there and they shock you with this. So I hired a hygienist that is just amazing at communicating. Kind of like an ortho treatment coordinator who only sees new patients. And
So when she sees new patients, is she doing a new patient cleaning?
she can, and that's why I hired a hygienist. So if that's what's really most important, and then most time what will happen is she'll get photos, she'll get X-rays, and then say, hey, you know what, Miss Jones, I know you came in, you said you really wanted a cleaning, but today we have two options. We can do that for you if that's the most important thing, or we can figure out, why that tooth hurts that you're having and come up with a treatment plan for that, or why you're breaking your teeth or wearing your teeth down.
So new patients are scheduled with a hygienist
For 2 hours.
for 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Every new patient.
More or less. If they're young. I can
Right,
take
right,
the
right.
odds. If they're like 30 and they've, all they need is your teeth cleaned, we'll stick them right in hygiene.
Yeah.
If they call saying they have a concern.
And what do you call her? Do you call her a treatment plan coordinator?
Yeah,
or do you call
she's our treatment coordinator is what we call her.
treatment
So
coordinator?
we don't get fancy with like concierge. We probably, I don't know, it might be cool. I haven't tried
Yeah.
the concierge term yet on it. But no, so she's just an amazing communicator, really emotionally intelligent with, even knowing kind of like basically saying in a non-offensive way, like, look, if you can do something now, or I'm afraid you're going to be in trouble, And then, just like you said.
So you got your best, smartest, people-skilled person
right. I mean, she's
handling the new
yeah,
patient.
I think I joke with her, but like if she wasn't doing this, she'd probably be, selling really nice cars or something. It's not about sales. It's just she's an amazing communicator in a non-offensive, like considerate way.
Well, I still don't understand the problem with the word sales. I mean, gosh darn, when 10% of Americans lose all their teeth, and when these women lose their teeth, they've told me for years they cry. I've had women that I've done implants on tell me that they when they got a denture, they stopped kissing their husband.
Yeah.
And then when they could sleep with their teeth in a night, they told their husband that they couldn't sleep in their bedroom anymore. And then after a year and a half of him sleeping on the couch, he left. And she looks back and she said, I lost my husband because I lost my teeth. And the mental health pain for women to lose all their teeth from their dental, I mean, mental health trumps dental health. And at age 65, 10% of Americans have 0 teeth, times 2 missing half. And at 75 years old, 20% are missing all their teeth, times 2 half. And, when I lost my hair, I didn't give a shit. But when women start losing their teeth, it hurts. It would hurt. I'm thinking it'd be like if you and I lost a hand or a foot, or if we were David Hornbrick and lost a thumb, or, they're losing a body part.
And that's what I think, and one thing she's taught me and I've learned from Angela is, people find money for things they want, and like people I would prejudge, we even write it off for our front desk, would say, I don't think they have any like I think money's a huge concern. I don't think you're going to be able to do anything, but they have a toothache, and the next thing we know, she takes them down the whole path, and then we're prepping for a extraction, graft, and implant, and I'm like, how does that happen? But it's really just her being able to take them down each path, of doing nothing, or what I mean. You're going to go on.
Okay, so you're placing implants too.
We do. So we place guided implants, but we just got the cone beam after I could afford it.
So how long have you been placing implants?
Since 2013, I did a maxi course.
Well, where at?
MCG's in Georgia.
Medical College of Georgia. So the low-cost local one next to you. You didn't have to fly across the country.
So, it was tuition, but it was kind of fun because it was 9 months. So like one Thursday.
So there you're smart too. So I always see, some people, they want to learn something. They want to learn occlusion. So their best idea is to fly clear across the country in a jet, staying in a resort, and pay $5,000 a weekend.
Yeah.
And then here's a smart guy. He's like, well, I'm in Georgia.
I'm going to drive.
So I'm going to drive to the course. So I go to Medical College of Georgia, and I'm sure it was just as awesome as any of the brand name Pinky, Koi, Spear.
No, it was amazing. And I'm like a CE guy, even teaching with clinical mastery. But so I almost killed myself as far as, with little kids, like, work Monday through Wednesday, and then Thursday morning take off, drive in, drive back Thursday night, drive in, drive back. But no, it was a chance to do a course for tuition, which, we made that back in,
So are you, what type of implant system? Are you placing one system, many system?
We, right now, so we went fully guided after looking at, like, it's just so much easier, honestly, and it's so quick.
So how are you making your guides?
We're using Armin's CAD Ray.
Armin, love Armin.
Sharp guy. Because I look at it, and I'm good friends with Corey Glenn. He's an amazing clinician, brilliant.
Yeah.
But he's so funny. He will, he will do everything himself. He's like, I saved, $150 doing it myself for an hour. And
but why he's that way? Why he's that way? Because he's from Tennessee.
That's true.
And it's like Josh Wren's my favorite pediatric dentist on earth, because where's he from? Where's he from? Mississippi.
Yeah.
And where was Walmart born?
Arkansas.
Bentonville, Arkansas. And those people, where was Orthodontic Centers of America born? New Orleans. Mm-hmm. And those people have one eye on their patient and one eye on cost, and they use their brain to drive down cost.
Yeah.
And them are the people that I want to hang with.
Yeah.
But the other people, they don't look at costs. They don't know their numbers. I've seen that in Ahwatukee. I've been for 28 years. In any restaurant, when I'll eat there, the manager, I'll say, "Can I see the manager? I just want to meet the owner." And I'll say, and I'll start asking them any number. So how's business? Like, how many new patients are you getting? Where are you getting most of them? What is your average table cost? Ask them any numbers, and they're like, I don't know. But if you tried the spinach artichoke dip, and in a year they're gone. Yeah. And the only two owners that could tell me their numbers are still there 28 years later, both doing $3 million a year, taking home $1 million,
right?
Because they knew their math. And I love the Josh Wrens, the Corey Glens, the people like you who know their costs, keep one eye on costs. So explain the Armin, the CAD Ray.
So yeah,
and that's a weird. What is that? www.cadray.com.
CADray.com.
Well, it used to be a CAD-ray.com, but now if you just go CAD Ray.
Okay. And that's the thing too, is I think about, like, part of me is still cheap, and then part of me, like, wants it to be easy. So, like, I'll happily pay the $100 design fee and then be done and go home and see the kids. than staying up late at night on my laptop. It may take 30 minutes or whatever to do it yourself, but part of it too is if you love it, like that's fun. It's not really work, but decide, figuring out what you're passionate about.
Okay, so what implant are you placing?
So I use Camlog's guide system. It's pretty nice.
Camlog?
It's Shine.
That's Shine?
Mm-hmm.
Shine sells it.
Shine sells it, yeah.
But is it owned by Dentistry?
I don't know who owns it, honestly. It's like German.
Okay, Camlog. It's a big branding in Germany.
It's pretty big, yeah. It's really big overseas.
So Camlog, so you went with Camlog.
Yeah, because they have, what's nice is they have, defined length. I mean, there are other alternatives, even now the Blue Sky Bio Implant Direct. I mean, you can get a good implant for, a couple $100 instead of, $400.
Yeah.
Which is important because that changes, either your margin or what.
So do you work with a Camlog rep? I mean, do you have a hands-on rep dealer, or you just buy these?
Yeah.
Okay. And then did you buy a CBCT, or do you just have access to one?
We did after 2 years.
What did you buy?
So I have a Plan Mecca.
You bought the Plan Mecca.
Just a Pro Max. So we have an 8x8.
Okay. Plan Mecca. That's out of.
I'm not sure where they're at.
That's out of Finland.
Okay.
Plan Mecca, and they bought the E4D.
Yeah.
So Plan Mecca's out of Helsinki, Finland. They bought the E4D in Dallas, and you bought their CBCT machine.
I did.
And how much did you pay for that?
It was around 80 something.
80 grand.
Yeah.
And so you like it?
I do. You know what? And I felt like I don't know. Honestly, I don't know there's an ROI that's tangible on it because a lot of times we won't even charge for a scan. We look at some specialists in an area they want to charge for everything. You know what I mean? I'm like, we probably do more implants than you know what I mean in some weeks than they do because I'm like, all right, let's just take a scan, let's see what's going on.
Well, I personally don't know anybody who upgraded from a Pano to a 3D CBCT, and when looking at that 3D CBCT wants to go back to a Pano.
Yeah, I can't imagine not having.
I mean, I never met anybody who was blind who said I don't want to go back to vision. You know what I mean? I mean, usually if you can see, you don't want to be blind.
Yeah, but I think you have to be careful with it. You know what I mean? So it's not like I'm not going to buy one day one. I was like, produce $1 million, $1.5 million, whatever, and then you can buy a toy.
But what I don't understand is a couple things. These periodontists and oral surgeons and orthodontists, they're sending these general dentists balloons and cakes and candies trying to get your business, and they got a CBCT machine. Mm-hmm. And you said to him, dude, if I send my patients there, you take it, you bill insurance, you get the money. So you just need access to one. Yeah. In some markets, there's vans that drive around.
For 2 years, we sent him to orthodontist. He'd scan them for us.
And what was the relationship there? Did you pay him?
No, he viewed it as marketing. Right. He would scan and just charge the patient. Or I said I'd pay it. I didn't want to pay it, but just charge a $40 because they had a massive field Ceph combined unit, so we get a path report. So we charge the $40 for the path report. That's all we'd even pay.
Smart orthodontist. Yeah. If I had a CBCT and I was the specialist, I'd be marketing to everybody. Don't buy any CBCT. Send them to my place. I do them for free shit. I'd hire a limo to go pick up your patients.
And you know what's going to happen too is you're going to see those patients that you send them for a scan. They're all excited about the implant. And the general sees the scan and they're like, I'm not doing that implant, but they're getting an implant. So it's like, who do you think is going to do it at that point? So I think it's kind of short-sighted to not want even rising tide raises all boats.
So then you take the CBCT, you export that on a DICOM file, and you email it to Armin.
Correct. And then we just send a physical PVS or alginate substitute impression. And
what's an alginate substitute impression?
So Silginate. So any of it's PVS, but it's cheaper.
Okay, so you take there's a couple of polyvinyl siloxane impressions, upper or lower. Just send them to them.
Just the arch. You send that, and then they basically pour that up, digitize it, so they scan it with a lab scanner to get an STL file, so a digital file of the topography of the teeth, and then they stitch the two together, plan the implant, send it to you, say you like it, what do you, and then you approve it or tell them to move it, tilt it a little bit, move it a 0.5 millimeter to the buccal, whatever. Use a 11 millimeter implant instead of a 9. And then they send it to be printed from Burbank, and then you get it back.
So that's through Burbank Dental Labs.
Burbank's printing for them, yeah.
And who's the owner of Burbank?
I don't know.
I love him. Big old Gregarian Russian guy.
But they're doing all. I mean, the cost, even our cost on it, doing the whole full service, maybe $200 to get the stent, the planning, all that done. To make a surgery last 30 minutes instead of 3 hours.
So is Armin basically doing his whole business through Burbank Dental Lab?
Right now, they're printing for them. Yes, to my knowledge, everything we've sent has been printed by Burbank.
Yeah, Burbank's an amazing company. Okay, and how many implants are you placing a month?
You know what? It depends. It's crazy. Things go ebbs and flows. A good month we may do is an office like 10, 12.
Oh my God, that's a ton.
Even a bad month, we'll get 1 or 2 to kind of feel. Sometimes if you go 3 months without doing something, the next time you go to do it, it feels like, learning how to ride a bike again a little bit at first. So we normally get to do at least a couple, and then a good month we may do a dozen. And a lot of that too, I think, was even looking at. I remember you said this one time, as far as like if you want to do more of something, lower your fee a little bit. And our fee isn't low by any means, but we just make it simple. So we combine everything. So if there's a tooth, and I'm going to take the tooth out if I graft. If I don't graft, I'm going to do a surgical guide, a CBCT, place the implant, do an abutment. Sometimes it's screw retained, sometimes it's a custom cementable, stick a crown on it. It's a flat fee.
So are you doing when you're doing implants? What is it usually? I mean, the most common crown. You go to a continuing education course, and they're always showing all these full mouth rehabs. Yet the labs will tell you 94 out of 100 crowns sent to a lab is for a single unit.
Right.
The insurance reports will tell you that the number one tooth crown is a first molar. The number one tooth replaced by an implant first molar. Number one tooth that gets a root canal is a first molar. Or when you do, how many implants you say you do a month?
Probably, let's say, if I had to guess, maybe 6 to 8.
Okay, if you did 6 to 8, are these usually one at a time replacing a first molar, or is these, or are these with dentures, or what's your typical case?
Yeah, typically just be replacing like a bicuspid they lost, or a non-restorative tooth, or a molar, first molar.
Okay.
Kind of first molars, yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's usually one at a time.
Yeah. A bicuspid is the easier tooth because like everybody misses that. You know what I mean? Like people will get by with no molar, but then you take out number 5 on a lady or 4, and like you're putting it back.
Because you're in Georgia, and if you're missing a bicuspid and they can see it, then they think you're from Alabama. And if you're missing one on both sides, now you're down to Louisiana.
Yeah. And then take them all out.
And you don't have any teeth, now you're Josh Friend's mother's patients in Mississippi, bringing in your pedo kids with Mountain Dew teeth. So what other things do you like? Did you do molar endo?
I don't enjoy it. And like,
so you don't do molar endo, but you did implants because it just seems like weird. A molar root canal would be 1,000 times easier to learn than placing an implant and doing IV sedation.
I think even now, like the guided curve, like significant. Here's the thing about sedation. All that is, it's just being a slightly different business. Because let's look at dentistry. Like let's talk about computers, and like Michael Dell and HP and all. I mean, they're all putting out the same Windows thing. Right. And then all of a sudden you talk about like what we do is taking in people who's been a long time or terrified or whatever it is, and then fixing them in an appointment or 2. You know what I mean? And then it looks completely different than everything else out there. So it's not like we're not cool. We're not like a Mac in that sense, but suddenly it's a completely different animal.
So you brought on an associate.
I did in June.
So you opened up your office opened in 2009.
2011.
2011. Oh, you bought your house in 2009. Yeah. So you bought your house in 2011. This is 2016. So it took 5 years. You brought on an associate.
Correct. So
did you bring in an associate with a matching skill set? Like you don't do endo, so he does?
Somewhat. He'll do a lot of the endo for me.
But so you did do that, or was that not really the reason you brought this guy on?
No, I was just we were booking out really far and not able to take care of emergencies.
But when you were looking for an associate, did you take a kid straight out of school?
Yeah.
And so
this is what I did, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, so I basically decided, you know what, like who I want is someone that wants to learn and wants to, be a student, but also, have a chance to get speed up and do reps. So I basically set a deal where, I set a salary that was way more than you would make doing a GPR or AGD, and I told him, you know what, you're going to pay me back.
Can you share that salary?
Yeah, I think it was 80 something.
Okay, so you said I'll pay 8,000.
So twice what a GPR pays you.
Yeah.
GPR pays like 42. So I'll double that, and then I'll give you I'll pay for you to go to IV course. We'll do an implant course. I'll send you some occlusion courses, and then I'll make sure you get enough cases that you feel proficient. So we'll do 10 implants. We'll do a small. I'll help even if I have to give it away and pay the lab bill, and that's like my charity. Making the world a better place. Like I'll get it for you done, so you can feel confident you're doing this, and then. You're going to pay me back for this, ultimately before we do bonus. But, you're going to have a chance to do a ton of learning while you do it. And hopefully more, more valuable than a program.
So are you trying to set up kind of like a IV sedation implant practice, or were you trying to also fill it out and saying, dude, I don't do endo. I'm going to, before I send you to IV sedation and implantology and all the things you already do, I'm going to send you to endo. Or did you do kids? Do you do pulpotomies?
We have so many pediatric dentists. I feel like, we don't even see the kid. Like we'll see mom, and they all go.
So are you referring out to pediatric dentists?
Such a small percent is we'll do operative, like simple operative. But if it's like a whole bunch, I'll do a filling, but we'll refer it out. And I tried to narrow down what I do now, so I don't do as many like fillings as I used to with stuff.
Are you doing much advertising, marketing?
Yeah, we still do about 8%, 8 to 10%.
8 to 10% of collections.
Yeah, we probably dropped down to 6 now, but initially it was almost 10 when we first opened. So the way I thought about it is
amazing. I mean, most consultants will say you spend 3%, and the aggressive ones are saying 5%, and you did 8 to 10 for 5 years.
In the first few years, absolutely, and then it kind of, as our production and collections really stepped up, like we didn't really spend any more on advertising; it just became a smaller percent. So now we're probably about 7.
But 7 still twice as much.
Right.
It's 2.5 times as much as probably the average dentist.
It is, but then I look at it as, we don't really have write-offs either.
With insurance,
right?
Yeah, you're so damn smart in so many different ways. I'm gonna change my name to Eric Jones.
If I'm gonna work and write off $50,000 in a month, you know what I mean?
Well, here's what every dentist in America does: you bring him a PPO, say, your crown's $1,300. Hey, you want to sign up for this PPO, and we'll pay you $800. So we'll drop your fee a third. We'll drop your fee $500, and that won't be the $500 for your rent, mortgage, equipment, bill, out, computer, insurance, malpractice, professional dues, updates. Oh, hell no. That's just the profit dollars. And you said no dice. Mm-hmm. And then you tell that dentist, well, will you spend 5% on advertising? No. And you spent 10. Yeah, you're like, before I'm going to do a 35% write-off, I'm just going to spend 10% on marketing, which then saves me a 25% write-off. Right. You really do. I swear to God, I was listening to your lecture. You're the bomb, dude.
Thank you, Howard. No, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to do it. Like, it's scary writing that check, in the beginning, not knowing it's going to, and that's why you track it. Because nothing sadder than like spending that money out and then either don't do it long enough for it to work, or you don't know if it's working, but you haven't even figured out that you're just blowing the phone call. You know what I mean? So it is working. They're calling, and then it's like, I don't want to see you. It's a new patient. We'll see you in a week. For your tooth that you hadn't slept in 3 days. It's like, come on down. I'd love to say we see every new patient within a day or two.
So when you opened up that office, how many square feet? How many operatories?
We did 1,804, and we had like a little kids room. And then a year ago, I took out the kids room to make a new patient room only, so we could get in new patients quicker.
So you got 5 ops.
So we have 5.
So you got a dentist and an associate in 5 ops.
Yeah,
so what kind of hours are you covering?
So then I'm lazy about that. I have young kids, so we're still only like 40 hours a week, like typical hours. We're expanding. We had the chance to expand to double our 10 ops. And I probably honestly should maximize that more. Like, I'd love to say, we're going to do 7 to 6 or something like that, 4 or 5 days a week. But, I live in like suburban Georgia. I don't really need to. It's not worth it to give up that family time now for me to be there. But I probably should think about even filling those hours as we build out capacity.
Well, when you're so you got 1 girl, 2 girls.
I have 1 little girl and two sons.
Well, when your kids are 6, 4, and 1, you want to spend a lot of time with them. As soon as they turn 13, 16, and 18, and start telling you how stupid you are. And Dad, did you know you're the dumbest guy that ever lived? Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. So you're even more well-rounded. I mean, you're.
So we do a lot of stuff.
Because if you ruin that little relationship with your mama and those 3 babies, that'll cost you millions too. Yeah. So
and it's like thinking about trading. All we do is we trade money for time.
Yeah.
We trade. I mean, that's all it is. Even in the office, we're trading. Our time for the patient's money, and then outside of it, when we're done with work, if we're working, adding on a day, or going in a Friday, or going in an extra day, or staying late, do that crown with that broken tooth. I mean, you're trading your time for money, and at some point, you can't buy back the time. That's easy to say when you're not, worried about going bankrupt, or and that's a whole different situation with an established practice versus someone growing. You have to make sacrifices, but.
And another thing is you got 5 operatories now. Mm-hmm. So that 3, 4, 5 operatory thing, that's something you basically only see in the United States and Canada.
Yeah, it's hard.
When you go all through South America, all of Africa, all of Asia, almost every dental office you ever will see in your life is one room the size of your kitchen, one operatory, and they got one employee, and that employee answers the phone, does a dental assisting, whatever. So those things, their overhead, so they might only do $300,000 a year, but they take half of it home.
Yeah.
They see 1/5 of the patients. Americans don't realize that this and they'll say, well, I don't do cleanings, I got to do this. Those dentists all say, you know what, I love it when, you get done with some root canal or implant or whatever. The next, it's just a cleaning. And I'm just going to sit down there and just clean the teeth and talk to my patient, and they're doing the exam and they're bonding. And so they just see like 1/5 the patients damn near make the same money.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the
and the only people that I know that do that in the United States are Asians, like Gigi in out there in Northern California. Yeah, Tinkerbell, and they're they just got the better mindset.
Yeah.
I mean Gigi makes more money than most of the dentists I know, but she don't have any overhead. It's just her. This is her.
The worst part is being stuck. You know what I mean? Like being stuck in that middle. So you hit that part of the overhead.
Right.
That, you know what I mean, doing $600,000 a year, and then you're spending, and you're buying, you're adding staff, and you're doing all this. You're buying toys, you're buying shiny things. It's like, well, you can be efficient at $500,000 or $400 or $300. One staff, one team member, and take home half. But you get in that painful part where you either need to grow or watch your bottom line. If you don't have the ability to.
So what you're saying is, once you become all things to all people in that middle, you don't have a defined market. You don't have a unique selling proposition. You're all things to all people. You say yes to all the PPOs. Say yes to all your staff. Yes to all the shiny objects. You just say yes to everything, right. and you're seeing 5 times as many people for less money.
Right. And that's how we're making. You know what I mean? That's how we have what is it? 73% average overhead. Is that what the ADA said?
Last I heard, it was 64.
Okay. So
2/3.
Yeah. Because you keep
But the number that I am trying to get everybody to look at is 2005 was the peak where they peaked 229,000 take home. And from 2005, every single year is less than the year before, and in 2015, it's 174.
Right.
So it has slid down $45,000 of net income in the last decade, and it's still sliding. I don't see any turn. It's just going. I mean, it would be nice to see that bottom out. Like sugar consumption. Most people don't talk about sugar consumption, but it was going up every single year since World War II, and it got to 150 pounds. But you know what? It topped out, and it is coming down. It's even coming down in countries like France, who put chocolate in their morning croissant and fill it with cream. I mean, the French have not found anything that they won't stick sugar and cream in, and sugar consumption is even coming. So sugar turned the corner.
Yeah.
But dentist sliding income is not turned the corner.
Yeah.
And I think, and what do they all? What's the only thing they talk about? Shiny toys.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Is we make decisions either out of fear or, just impulsively, not knowing numbers. So it's like, well, everyone else, you buy a Sarah because you're afraid to get left behind, or because the other offices are getting it. You know what I mean? And you don't like computers, and it's like, so you're paying $150,000 to be a lab. I mean, it's amazing technology, but you're paying that money to be a lab guy to do something you don't like doing. To have a note or a massive payment to save $50 or $100 on something you do 10 times a month or 8 times a month.
Okay, I'm starting to get scared. We're at 48 minutes, and if you work with Clinical Mastery,
right?
And the guy who started that, him and his wife, Pete Janicki, worked for Dental Town. He sold ads for Dental Town for 10 years. Married Jen Robinson. They started this deal, and if we don't start talking about Clinical Mastery, Pete Janicki's going to drive over to my house and kick my ass. So talk about Clinical Mastery. Why did you join them? Do you lecture for them? Because you got 3 kids, or are you?
Yeah, it's hard. So
are you on that insane lecture circuit?
No,
I mean, I see Leanne Brady and you guys in every.
Machines.
Oh my God!
You know what? So I will tell you, and I think there's a fine line between being such a high fact finder, like feeling like you need to go to 28 continuous courses to prep like 6 teeth. Because you're scared or this or that. But I think, without the education, there's no way I'd do what I do. We wouldn't have the confidence. We wouldn't be able to solve problems or do something and seat 10 crowns and then they come back and they're breaking porcelain, or it's just unpredictable. And that's a real profit killer, is when you're having to do a redo. Or
especially in an implant case.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh my God!
You're in for,
because if one out of every 5
Yeah.
of your implant cases fails,
Yeah.
you're doing all your implants for free.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
You
Yeah,
know?
because by the time you have all, I mean, and that lab cost is significant. So, no, I think in doing that, I mean, there's no way I could do what I do. So it's really just, being passionate about teaching that, because I know like, it completely changed like how we do our practice. In the sense that we can, know what to do when we see a more complex problem, but still make that simple for the patient. So we do a lot of bigger cases, but I'm not getting out the chewing simulator for them and that little like jaw model with the spring, that we got, or the oak skull from dental school, But
So how often are you lecturing for those guys?
so I'll do.
Are you on the road?
Not much. Probably only every couple months. Do I join? Am I able to join in for a course?
So it's www.clinicalmastery.com, and who's and that's sponsored by Gold Dust Labs. Is it sponsored by him, or
yeah? I mean, we have.
Is it their company, or is it part of their company, or is it Jen Robinson's company?
Well, so initially, like Gold Dust supported Clinical Mastery a good bit in the beginning, but now, I mean, it's a there are a lot of courses and a lot of.
But who owns the company? Is it? Do you know?
I don't.
You don't even know? I don't even know.
Yeah.
But it's clinicalmastery.com. They're on they have what, 4 courses?
So there's 3 occlusion courses, a chance to watch John and Jason both prep, like John preps a full mouth case.
Over the shoulder?
Yeah, so watching it happen.
Really?
So
it's 3, so I thought, so it's 3 occlusion courses. It's Clinical Mastery is course 1, then 2, then 3,
right,
then
it's just
4.
building on each other. So the first is really just knowing, when you're getting trouble. So knowing, why a second molar. You prep that bad boy, right, and then you got plenty of reduction, and then they come back hot with a high temp for like each day for 2 weeks till you seed it. So it's just identifying, basically occlusal instability. The second is building on that, so tackling bigger cases, changing vertical, altering the tooth position. And then the third is really getting into just like a joint course. But there's also
like a what?
A joint course, so like
joint, like TMJ?
TMJ, yeah.
Okay.
But it's really just being able to watch Jason or watch John, or prep 6 teeth, or smile design, or 8 teeth or 10 teeth, or in John's case like 20 teeth at his thing. There's an implant course that Lee does with her, Dr. Brady does with her periodontist, where you watch him put in an implant and tell you everything he's thinking, like while he's placing it.
Does Leanne Brady place the implants?
She doesn't.
She has her periodontist do that?
She has her periodontist.
And then she restores it?
She restores it.
And Leanne's a legend. She's been an instructor. She's been on clinical for Pankey, Scottsdale Center, which is also known by Spear.
Right.
I mean, she's
amazing. So she knows like any reference or anything you.
So one of the questions we get all the time is the young kids come out of school and they say, my CE budget's limited and I want to learn more about occlusion. And there's basically 2 camps. There's neuromuscular camp. We're in Vegas. We're in neuromuscular LVI land. Yeah. And then there's the Pankey, DOS, Coy, what do you call those guys? What do you call them? Just CR?
CR based, yeah.
CR based. So if they're out there saying, okay, I can't afford to take them all, and I've only got this much money, should I learn neuromuscular or CR?
And I'm a CR guy, so I'm biased, but I think, a lot of times, honestly, we do have to look at it as the least amount of dentistry is the best dentistry to accomplish the goal, So if someone's, front tooth is hideous, we don't need to prep all 10, to fix that. Or if it's a case where, they don't have the occlusion or the guidance they need, can we prep, the upper teeth and then just do 2 composites on the lower to get that? Or what are our options for,
So is that one way of kind of saying in between if I was reading in between lines, that the neuromuscular guys, their approach to occlusion is doing a lot more having to rebuild the full mouth?
Yeah, I mean, I've never taken an LVI course. I feel like it's not fair to
No, I didn't say LVI, I just said neuromuscular.
Yeah.
But we are in Vegas.
I'll get my cease and desist in a week.
No. I mean, Bill Dickerson has the thickest skin in the world.
Yeah,
I mean, he knows. Bill Dickerson and I have had this conversation. You can't get two dentists to agree that today is Saturday.
Yeah. Other than the other guy's a moron, right?
Well, I think, but it's that way. I mean, look at our own government.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, the Congress has 11% approval. They can't agree. They can't fix. You give them any issue, just immigration, the national debt. Yeah. Give them any flipping issue. The fact that we got what, 1,600 military bases that were started after World War II that the Pentagon once shut down.
Yeah.
The Pentagon's like, we don't even want them. So people are complex.
No, but I think it's safe to say that.
And a lot of people say they wish that everybody on earth was just like me. But see, that's saved for heaven. Yeah. That's what heaven will be like. Everyone will be just like me, a short, fat, bald guy that knows it all. No, I'm just kidding. But but is that safe? So do you believe that a neuromuscular treatment plan is going to try to rebuild the bite by doing a lot of more dentistry?
Well,
did you just say? I kind of hear that you're a CR dentist because it's more conservative?
You know, I think more than likely, if we're talking about building someone in like a neuromuscular position that's probably down and forward, like you have an open vertical, and to close that space with at least 20 or 28 crowns is something that like it's not 2,000, you know what I mean, or 95 anymore. Like that's hard for a lot of people. I mean that is a more expensive than a car than they would ever buy. You know, I mean, what does the average person buy a car every 7 years? So
there are dentists, no names being mentioned, that by the time they get your TMJ, TMD, neuromuscular, tech scan, whatever, to have your perfect bite, we need to crown all your teeth.
Right.
You need 28 crowns.
Right.
Or at least your back teeth.
That may be the case for some patients.
Right.
I think, to help to help as many people as possible, you know what I mean, and you find that sweet spot in the market, you know what I mean, between solving the problem, but also not trying to, you don't necessarily. Well, I don't know. Take that back. I was gonna say you don't want to be the cheapest guy or the most expensive. But sometimes you get killed in the middle too. So it's a whole other can of worms. But
so how? So what if one of my homies listening to this wants to hear you lecture? How do they hear you lecture?
You know what? I am with. Sometimes you can catch me at Clinical Mastery. The next thing we're doing with some other young guys is Practice on Fire in May in Nashville. You know what?
What would you guys think if we sent a film crew down there and filmed those lectures and made them online CE courses?
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
Have you talked to Hogo about that?
We haven't, but I think it's an awesome idea because you know what? I love going just to that is the meeting that even though if I'm doing a presentation.
Who's in charge of that?
Michael Ling and Graham Dursley is a townie as well. He's a prosthodontist in Maryland, and they're organizing that.
So, tell me his name again.
It's Graham Dursley, Dersley, and then Michael Ling, Ling.
D-E-R what?
D-E-R-S, I think it's Ley.
S-L-E-Y?
And he's a guy that, is a D-E-R-S-L-E-Y, yeah.
S-L-E-Y?
Yeah. I can forward you that.
Can you forward me that?
Yeah.
Will you ask him? Because I think that turned a lot of townies on to a lot of hot people.
Like some of the guys are just brilliant and young and killing it, and they think far differently even than I do.
What's the date on that?
I think it's May 13th and 14th, I want to say.
And if my homies want to go to Practice on Fire, how do they find out information on that?
So I think we have, it should be Practice on Fire, yeah. It might be live. Let me check that.
www.practiceonfire.com. Site for new owners, Practice on Fire.
So yeah, Graham does it. He has.
That's it.
Yeah, we have the live. He's starting off our live, like a meeting twice a year. Basically, it started out just like, all right, we're each going to give our best TED talk for an hour, and like what we're excited about and what we're interested about, and that kind of evolved to looking at something that somebody does unique. So I'm talking about case acceptance and how we bring in everybody through one person, and then other guys are talking about marketing.
Email?
So my email is I use my website one, Dr. Jones.
Dr. Jones.
At jonesmiles.com.
At Jones Smiles. At Dr. Jones at jonesmiles.com. Well, yeah, I just emailed you that link to remind you, but if we can film that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That would be because I've seen there's a big thread on Dental Town.
Yeah,
What's the name of that thread?
So I think it's Practice on Fire Live with Corey Glenn's going to be there. I think we have.
So do you have the Dental Town app?
I do. Let me see.
So on the Dental Town app, there's a search bar, and so I'll put practice. So Practice on Fire.
And you should pull that right up.
Okay, Practice on Fire, Nashville. Okay, watch this. So we do this. Here, stand up. We do this. We'll hit comment.
Yeah.
And then we'll hit are you ready for Nashville? God, I love Nashville. I love the music.
That's an amazing city, isn't it?
And then, take new picture. And then use photo. So they could either see you if they go to clinicalmastery.com, or they could see you if they go to.
In 6 weeks. We'll be, and I'm talking. So I mean, there's I love hearing those guys talk, but so I am talking about just how we handle new patients and get case acceptance for all this. Because if you bring in 10 people and one says yes.
It's think of the funnel.
Yeah.
So a call comes in. They don't know if it's already in their base. They don't know how many new phone numbers have to call in to get a patient share. Right. So it's probably going to be the average price is probably going to be 4 to 1.
Yeah.
And if they could get that 2 out of 4, they double their practice. Yeah. Then when the patient comes in and you present the treatment, they don't track that.
Yeah.
National average, we know that just for restorative fillings, I mean,
half, right?
you don't need, it's 38%.
Yeah.
So if you pitch veneers, no one needs veneers.
Right.
Just like I don't need a wig on my head. That's cosmetic. But a cavity is an infection. You need a cavity. And when dentists diagnose 100 cavities, they'll drill bill 38.
Yeah.
And I've seen in my lifetime hundreds and hundreds of offices where 2 guys in the same medical dental building have the same patient charts. One has a 38% closure rates and doing like 600 a year, taking home $150. The next guy has a 65% closure rate, and he's taking home.
And that's he's
doing $1 million too.
Everybody say, we need more patients, but it's like, you know what? Convert 50 to 80% of phone calls. Convert 50 to 80% of treatment cases, and then you know what? Then you can spend then spend money on marketing. Don't market 8% until you know.
And some of these guys out there, they'll say to me, "Why is Howard against laser CAD cam?" Howard ain't against laser.
Yeah.
Howard had a CERAC 1. I had a CERAC 1. In fact, you're 20 years younger than me. I had a CERAC 1 before you were born. So I had a CERAC before you were born. CERAC 2, CERAC. I got a CERAC. I got a CBC. I have every damn toy known to man, but that's because boys have toys.
Yeah.
And the bigger the boy, the more toys, whatever the hell they say. But I had my house in order.
Right.
And I'm saying the toys ain't going to get your house in order.
Right, yeah.
Get your damn house in order.
Know your front
start
desk
getting
there.
your numbers. Start getting your conversions. Start getting your treatment plan acceptance. And then if you want to go do CAD CAM and place implants and go to frickin' wherever the hell and learn how to place implants in Dominican Republic, or I know dentists go to Brazil. We're down there in Phoenix. There's a big implant training course just across the border of is it Yuma, Arizona? Yeah, you go to Yuma and they're doing out there. Knock yourself out. But if you get your house in order,
of course, and that fixes it. And it's like, no, we gotta, that's like tertiary stuff. After having every other thing lined up,
get your office, get your house in order, and get poised for growth, and then go play for 40 years while you can make bank and feed your wife and 3 kids. By the way, are you gonna peter out at 3? Are you gonna keep up with the Howard dog and go for number 4? You don't want to hear me say I beat you.
You know what happens
where it counts.
I know. It's like I should just go on to bed, but somehow you get suckered into that 4th.
All I can say is my baby is Zachary, and when I'm thinking of Zach right now, you need to man up and have number 4. But hey, seriously, Eric, I think you're crushing it. Thank you so much for speaking for us at Townie meeting. Go see him at Clinical Mastery, and Leanne Brady and John Nasty and Mike and all of them. And who's all going to be at the clinic Nashville Practice on Fire?
No, we have Corey speaking.
Corey Glenn out of Tennessee, amazing.
I've never met him personally. Steve Kuzmak and as a Townie, and Artie Volker coming in.
Oh, I love Artie Volker.
Yeah, Graham's there, so we got.
Actually, I'm mad at Artie Volker because I ran into him at New York with Tom Mattern, and my liver still hurts.
Okay.
But I love Artie.
He's Gina Dorfman, I think, is going to be.
Oh, Gina, my God, last time she came to my practice, I think she had 28. I mean, it was like the left half of the room was just her practice, and they're the most dynamic people. Yeah, she owns Yappy. Yappy, which stands for just yet another practice management deal. I saw her hanging out with the open dental people at this show. What practice management software do you
We're
run?
Open Dental, and we have Yappy as well.
God dang, you do everything right, dude. Thanks for spending an
Thank
hour
you.
with me.
Absolutely.
Thank
Thanks,
you
Howard.
so much, buddy.